Good morning, ladies. Happy New Year to you all. Let's hope this year's a better one than last year, although we've not gotten off to a great start. Right, first project of 2021, and you're always going on about like you want to do men's cards or men's projects, so this would be ideal to give to a man. So as I said before Christmas, you will need a sheet of craft card, which is a brown card. If you don't have that, the inside of a cereal box will work just as well for this project. You'll need a sheet of black card, a couple of embossing folders, red, black, brown and yellow pigment ink. Your thicker inks will not work with this. They're too opaque. They're too thick and you won't get the same effect. So you do need a pigment ink. And you would need Mod Podge, the matte one, a spray bottle with water, glycerin, which that's the one out of Morrison's, and it's a vegetable one, so it's good for the environment. A kitchen sponge. They work, they're brilliant. I just cut them up and just use them for different projects. And a heat gun. Now, if you don't have a heat gun, don't panic. It'll just take you longer to do the project because you will leave it overnight to dry. If you leave it flat beside a radiator or someplace warm, but you have to leave it flat and it will dry overnight. And as I say, it will take you longer for the project. Right, we're going to be doing faux leather. Now, this was the very first one I did. And this was the one that I did with I didn't have Mod Podge at the time. And I just used a PVA glue. And it works just as well, but there's still that wee stickiness. It's not sticky, but it doesn't dry like the Mod Podge does. But it gives you the idea of what we're doing. It makes it look like leather. And it's not difficult to do. Right, so that was the first one I did. I did a wee wallet. This is for, it's a wee die I've got, and it does gift cards and things like that. So I've made it up to look like faux leather. And that's a lovely wee gift to give to someone. I had a notebook, an old notebook that had just a plain red cover that was all marked, and it was horrible looking. So I've actually covered that. I cut my piece of card before I started. I cut my piece of card and I left it a 1/4 of an inch bigger than the book from cover to cover. So I measured that all the way around. Then I did all what I had to do, and then I glued it to the front of the book. So and then I put black card on the inside just to finish it off. Looks a very expensive book now, doesn't it? And this is the project that we're going to do today. And it's on the same lines as my first one. It's going to be a wallet. And I've put a notebook in it, a pen, and this year's calendar. And a couple of pockets. So I will let you see how to do this. Right, so let's get cracking. I'm going to put all this to the side just now. Now, the first thing you'll do is both sheets of card. You can cut them together and you cut it at 6 inches. So that's portrait on your machine. Then you're going to get your scoreboard. I've got my sizes here. We'll start with the craft card, and I'm going to cut it, score it at 3 inches, 3.5 inches, 7.5, and 8. And I'm going to fold all my... Now, I've actually done it on the wrong side. If the craft card, you'll see that there's a lighter side and a darker side. The lighter side is more porous than the darker side. But it gives you a better effect. Now, I have I've not cut that very straight. And you do the same with the black. So it's 3 inches, 3.5 inches, 7.5 inches, and 8. I've cut this very straight either. And just burnish all your edges. And I'm going to check this one because I really don't think I've cut it very straight. No, I haven't. It is, evened it up. Now keep those bits as well because I'm getting ahead of myself. Right, I'm going the small edge, I'm going to round the corners, and I'm doing all this before I even start to do my inking or whatever, because it'll become apparent as we carry on. You want it to look finished off at the edges, and if you cut into it after you've inked it, you'll take away that look. Now, I'm just measuring just by eye because I want to put 2 pockets on. So just make sure I've got that. Get my scissors. And cut. And the same with this one. Just make sure that it's going to sit right and it's Right, so you've got, and I'll need to round one of my corners as well. And make sure you take all these bits out of the way before you start doing. Right, so put your black bit to the side just now. And we're going to work on these 3 bits. Now, a bottle of water. And I've left it about 1 inch from the top. So I'm going to fill that with glycerin. Now, glycerin is absolutely brilliant for helping you with your inking and whatnot. I'll show you different things in a minute. Just give that a shake. It just, you can see, it makes your water thicker. Give it a good shake and make sure it's mixed all the way through. And the glycerin will not hurt your hands or anything like that. You get that in hand cream and whatnot. So it'll make your hands soft if anything else. Right, so then you start and you spray your card. And you can see I'm putting quite a bit of water on. Now, you don't want to rub too much that you're going to take the surface off, but you just want to even it out. And then you'll turn it round and do exactly the same on the other side. And you want to keep doing this until you've got it quite pliant. And you'll feel it. You want it to resemble chamois leather, basically. I've got loads of water on this board, so hopefully this will soak up all the water. And you'll feel it like that's starting to go now. Okay. So I just want to give it a good scrunch. See that? Now, don't panic if you've done like I've done and burst it. Don't panic, because all the glue that you'll put on it will stick it back together again, I can assure you. And you want it to look like that. Same with your small bits. Just give it a good scrunch. Right, put that aside just now. And I'm going to give my mat a dry. Okay, now this is when you do your embossing. Now, don't panic if you've got an electric machine and you're putting something wet in it. It's a sealed unit, so it should not do any damage whatsoever. Right, so I'm going to start off with this little embossing folder. And start at this end. And because it's a small folder, I'm obviously going to be running this through multiple times. And don't panic if you're going on top of the embossing you've already done. It just all adds to the what's the word I'm looking for? The look. Because you want it to look basically like leather, which is not going to be smooth, it's not going to be regimental. And I only want to come as far as these lines, because I'm going to use another folder on the flap that's going to come over. And I've picked this. You really want quite a deep embossing folder. This isn't too deep, but I'm going to I've got a shim in here. And I'm going to use my embossing mat as well, just to give it that extra bit. And I've taken that up to that line. Don't want to go past that line. Right. And I want to just put my mat on. I should have used a smaller one. If I could find a smaller one, I probably would have used it. Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I'm just gonna put this one. It's not gonna fit on. I should have done it half and half. do. There we go. Right, let's try this. Let's see what we've got. Oh, it's giving me a wee bit of a line, but never mind. Right. Let's flatten that out. Didn't panic. Make sure that's out of the... These things are set to try us. And I want to put these two bits in now, and I'm going to use the and there we go. That's giving that one a wee bit. Right, there we go. And I want to do that one. And again, I want it to be a wee bit thicker, give it a wee bit more pressure. So I'm going to put my mat in. You use whatever your machine takes for your embossing. Just, you know, if it doesn't go through, it's too thick, so you take something out. Or if you don't get a thick enough impression, put a shim in or whatever to help it out. And that's my two pockets. Right, so put this out of the way just now. And now we want to dry it. And as I say, if you don't have a heat gun, just leave it flat on a thick piece of card or something like that, and leave it beside a radiator or someplace warm, and it will dry overnight. But I'm just going to dry it just now, just to let you see. It doesn't take that long to dry, because basically your machine's squashed a lot of the water out. You see where it's the wettest, all the dark patches, that means that that's where it's wet. And you see it's wetter here because using the thicker embossing folder has squashed all the water along, so that's why it's wetter there. turn it over. I'm just going to dry my mat again. It being wet and the heat, it causes condensation on your mat, so if you just keep drying it, it'll stop it staying wet underneath. And you can see all the bits that are still wet, just where all the dark patches are. Again, just dry my mat. You can see dark patches there. You can see that's just where it's still wet. You just keep turning it over until you don't see any dark patches and you know that it's going to be dry. And dry the other bits as well. And there we go. Right, so that's all your bits. Now you want it right side facing, just make sure your mat's dry. Right side facing, and we're going to start with our lightest colour, which is the yellow. Oh, it's got the red underneath. There's my yellow one. That'll be my yellow one. I always put wee Velcro dots on the back of my ink pads so that I can keep the sponges safe, and I know that that's for my yellow one. Right, so I'm just going to start inking up. And don't be scared to put ink on. And just what's left on my sponge. I'm just going to go over all the bare bits. There we go. So it looks quite patchy, but that's what you're wanting. So that's your yellow. Then you will use your red. And just and there we go. I've not put so much red on as yellow because I want this quite not as deep as the last one. Then your brown. Now this is the one that you want to go around the edges with, because you want to dirty it up basically, and you want your edges to look like what's the term for it, tooled leather. And you can see it's starting to have a leather look about it already. And it's got that tooled look about it. And then just dirty it up in places. Right. You can go back in with it again if you feel you want more. And then your black. And this is the one that really dirties it up. And gives it the proper leather look. And as you can see, it is really starting to look like leather. And there we go. And I should have been doing my my wee bits while I was, never mind. Set that to the side and I'll do my wee bits while I'm here. And as you can see, I'm putting it on quite thick, and then I'm just going to go over where I haven't done it, just with what's left on my sponge. There we go. My red. And that's basically where I haven't really done any of the yellow. I've went into the red brown. That really looks like that. There, that's looking good now. Now, if you felt that maybe there wasn't enough red on it, just go back in before you start doing your black. And just give it a wee, it's what you like the look of yourself. And you'll see it as you're doing it. And then finish it off with the black. And dirty it up. And there you go. And that's your leather look. Right, there, go put them out the side. Clean up my mat. Now, this is when you get your sponge. And I'm going to just cut. As you can see, I've already cut a third of it away. Cut a third of my mat, my sponge. Get my Mod Podge. And I'm going to put that on my mat. Great dollop. Now, if you were to do this with a brush, because you've used, your ink is a water-based product, your Mod Podge is a water-based product, if you were to use a brush, it'll just move the colour about that you've already put on. But we're doing it this way, by just dabbing that on. Yes, it will take the colour off, but because you're dabbing it, it'll just put it back on again. So you're not moving the colour about. You just keep dabbing until you've got all your Mod Podge on in all the nooks and crannies and all the little bits. And as I say, if you remember, I had a crack there, and I think I had a cut there as well. This will help that stick down. And this is, the sponge is giving you texture as well, because it's not going on smooth. You're getting the texture of the sponge as well. There you go. And then I'm going to do my two little bits as well. And you can see from round where I've inked round my big one, it does lift off the colour slightly, but you're putting it back on again. Okay, so that's them done. I'll put that out the way just now because I'll have to clean up my mat. Now, you can wash out your sponge, but you have to do it, basically, you have to do it right away. But that's why I use the kitchen sponges, because you just throw them away. I mean, really, what are the pence? They're not dear to buy. Right. It's quite sticky and tacky, and I'm going to get a wipe for my hands, because my hands are quite sticky. There we go. Now, again, that's actually starting to dry quite well. Just get your heat gun and heat it up. And dry it off. Sorry, not heat it up at all. Dry it off. And Mod Podge is like any other glue. It dries clear, but it's white when it goes on. So if you still see white bits, you know it's not quite dry. Where it's thicker, it's not quite dry. Now, depends on what you want for a closure. You might just want to put a piece of twine round it to close it up. If that's the case, you would put 2 holes here, thread your twine through, wrap it around, and then you would tie it in a knot. If you want to use magnets like I've used in mine, this is when you put them on. Again, dry your mat because the heat guns caused condensation. Right, so just give your lines another fold. Right, so as I say, this is where, when you would put on your magnets. And I've got these ones that are sticking to everything. I got these ones courtesy of Elizabeth. Our son was clearing out from his work. And they've got sticky bits on the back, which is absolutely brilliant. So I want one about here. Now, yeah, it's brilliant, but I'm still going to have to put a piece of red tape on this one. For the simple reason, it's sticking to the other side. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Right, so I'm kind of guessing it's about here. So I'm going to put that in there like that. Use a plastic thing, Fiona, don't be so stupid. There we go. I'm going to shut that. I'm going to bring this over. And voila. Ah! Am I clever or am I clever? Ha ha ha. And then take the back off of that. Right. This is a messy bit. Let's see if I've got a white mat. I do. Right, I'm going to put this on a white mat because it's not that one I want to put on a white mat, it's this one. And that's okay. I am going to put a lot of glue on. Because you want to cover it. Okay, and I'm fortunate enough I've got a wee scraper. And I'm going to spread this all over. Okay, just make sure it's quite even. Right, so I'll take that out of my way. See, that's what I didn't want to happen. But never mind. And I'm going to start at this end. Right. Now, it does shrink slightly because of all your embossing and whatnot. So just trim that a wee bit off. And that's how, if you start at the other end, there we go. And then just do all your folds. And there you go. And there you go. That is your folder. And then you put your pockets on. As I say, there's my just put glue all the way around. I think I'm going to have to cut a wee bit of this off because, again, it's you've already cut that bit off. And that's your one pocket. And this will be your next. What I should have actually said to you as well, the bit that was left, you do need a strip to make your pen holder. Let's make sure you've got that strip. If it still feels quite tacky, it's because it's still wet. It'll take about 24 hours to dry out properly. But you've taken away most of the tackiness. There we go. And then I've got a wee bit from another one that I did. And I want to do a pen holder. Tell you, my brain goes wandering. I think this is going to be a long video of the day. There we go. And I'll get my right, so we know I want it about that much. Put glue all over it. Roll it round. So you're making a circle, well, an oval really. And then you're just gonna, where you've got your join, put some glue. And you're going to put it on. I could have done it smaller. Put your calendar tag on. Into your pocket. The notebook. This is my last one of these actually. Let's see if I can find some more. Take the front cover off. Now, I kind of noticed that it kind of got squashed. So I'm going to put it further over this time. And then I'll look for a pen. And that's just ideal. And there we go. And that's your book. Isn't that just wonderful? As I say, if you don't have, I'll just use this as an example, but if you use like baker's twine and you do 2 holes, you can wrap it round and tie it off, and that would be a way to close it if you don't have magnets. You can use, if you've got any of those clasps that I used for that one, you could use them. But as I say, remember and put them on before you put your black back in. I didn't on that one, and I put covers because I did that later on. Wasn't the best, but it was my first attempt. So, see how you got on with that. And that's my projects that I've made using the faux leather look. And as I say, ideal for a man's gift. Okay, happy crafting.